Most people think it takes years to make millions as a plumber. I did it in one.
Well, it's hard when you spend the majority of your time working long days and weekends. You don't have time to think about profit margins, marketing, or your business. You just got to get through today.
The first time I started my business, I made every mistake in the book. I called around to find my market's going rate. I didn't spend anything on marketing, and I didn't understand why I wasn't making money. What's up, dude?
Go ahead.
Thank you. You let me win on that one. Appreciate it.
I thank you for acknowledging how I always let you win.
I knew you were going to let me win, and so I waited to cut in. So essentially, I win.
Getting wise to
We have
my game.
For everybody who doesn't know, we have a contest of who can start the podcast. And so we try to catch the other person off guard.
And in the really early days, I would always win because I was the one who knew when it started.
Yeah.
And so I would click the button and then I'd be like, what's up? And then
because we didn't used to podcast in person. If you go watch our older episodes, you'll see it.
You'll
see a much smaller bearded myself, and you'll see Joel in the dungeon.
Yeah, in a really cool basement with a nice... Occasionally, there's a splash of artistic lighting in the background.
Dude, it's the way to go.
Yeah.
We should go find a basement dungeon, and then we can call it Plumbing in the Dungeon with Jared and Joel.
I kind of like that, plumbing in the dungeon. And then you could be like, man, when you're in your business, it's just hard. It's like you're in the dungeon. What better way to be in the dungeon than with some people who know what they're doing?
So dumb.
Well, okay. So today it is actually Podcast Friday.
Podcast, is it Friday?
Yeah.
We get whacked, dude.
Yeah. What day do you think it was? That's another thing that I really like about our podcast is not knowing the days.
With traveling and time changes and odd podcast times.
Yeah, totally.
I don't know what day it is anymore.
Yeah.
I don't even know what time I was supposed to wake up. I didn't get up till like 7:30 today.
What time do you usually get up?
I usually wake up at 6.
Like with an alarm or without an alarm?
I set an alarm every day because if I don't, I can't sleep.
Yeah, because what if your alarm, what if you oversleep?
Yeah.
Because you might miss whatever you would miss in the morning.
Yeah. But I wake up at 6 typically.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'll wake up at 5:59 every day without fail.
Do you...
except for today.
Do you always beat your alarm?
Always. It doesn't matter what time I set my alarm for. If I set my alarm, I wake up right before it goes off. Isn't that weird?
Did you set your alarm last night?
No.
Oh, so then you just slept. Yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah, I just slept. Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, dude. So today, we are going to talk about how to make millions of dollars with your plumbing business. It's going to be awesome. And we probably talk about this topic a lot.
Yeah, I would say we talk about this topic almost every time.
Almost every time. But today I want to take a little bit of a unique spin on it.
Unique spin.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Dude, that was good, man.
We're a bunch of retards, dude. I hope everybody enjoys that retardedness a little bit.
I do, and that's really what I'm here for.
Cool. Okay, so we talk about this topic a lot. Like, we run people through, like, all the steps, what you need to do, la-di-da-di-da, la-di-da-di-da. I want to talk about, because there's a few things that I think that most people don't understand. And it's like a few mistakes that people make, and then maybe a few higher level concepts that I want to walk people through. There's these few key things that make your business just tick.
Sure.
And there's all this other stuff that you can worry about, but I want to go over the key ingredients to making $1 million. That's a good way to put it. So if you were to take these key ingredients that we're going to discuss today on this podcast and make sure and have those in your business, it's like the most important things. Everything else is kind of ancillary to those things.
Nice, good word. You've been reading that book I gave you.
It's still at the Bourne's house. I haven't read it.
I did.
No, I read some.
When you're at their house?
When you were at their house.
When you first got it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you first gave it to me and I picked it up for like 2 seconds.
And you're like, I bet you Joel knows all these words.
Probably does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn straight I do. Maybe I even wrote that book under a ghost name.
You're just a secret millionaire from your word books.
Yeah, from my word books, from my big word books.
Anyway, let's get after it.
Yeah. Okay, so what's the first most important ingredient that guys miss?
You know, I like it when we like put limits on our brains when we talk about these things.
Okay.
We like think about a person in a certain situation.
Sure. Yeah. Sure. You make a story. You know.
Yeah.
Take a story, turn it into numbers.
Yeah. And so if you're successful, you're probably doing most of these things already. If you're not, you're probably missing maybe one.
Okay.
If
Success is
you're,
defined as what?
I don't know. You got a few $1 million business, right?
Okay, gotcha.
You're doing
You have
okay.
you probably have profit margins.
Yeah. But if you getting to 2 or 3 is one thing. I think getting to 5 and beyond, you're going to have to make sure and have all of these things.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah. So let's think of a guy who is, just for funsies, let's think of a guy, he started his plumbing business and he's, we talk about pricing and marketing. And let's say he's got pricing.
Okay.
Pricing is good. He got all his marketing in place.
Okay, so he's got like an agency, and
He's
then
got a marketing agency.
has the time elapsed, so is everything set up? Websites out there, campaigns are running.
He rebranded. He's got a killer brand.
Okay.
And he's got a price book. He built his price book.
Yeah.
He's on Service Titan, right? He's kind of following the process.
Right.
But he's either like he's doing some work, but he's not really making money, and he's maybe having a hard time growing, right? Or hard time growing and a hard time thinking about what he needs to put in place to grow.
Gotcha. So he might be at the point where, this guy feels like he's done a lot of the right things. But he
Correct.
just doesn't really quite know what to do now. Because he looks back, he's like, well, I got Service Titan. I'm like, I know my numbers and junk, but I just can't do something enough
Yep.
to,
And
hire another guy.
By his numbers, let's say he's 500 an hour.
Okay.
Right. He's as a one-man show, no matter where he is in the world, he's charging enough to be able to grow from there.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Does he have any employees?
No, because that's one of his problems.
Okay.
He doesn't know how to get employees.
Okay.
I want to write down the things we're going to talk about.
I noticed you doing that.
So
that
that I
helps
don't
you.
forget.
Yeah.
It does. Writing helps me a lot. So,
You should just put your flip chart on the table and write on that.
dude, I should
Like
be
this.
awesome. Dude, the flip chart's the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, I know.
That's my favorite toy. It's like a toy.
Yeah, it is like an adult toy.
It makes work fun.
Yeah,
That's
that's
cool.
funny.
I get to draw stuff on a marker with
Yeah.
a marker on a
kinda
marker
funny.
with a marker.
If you would have like told the kid version of yourself back in the day, like, hey, do you know what you're going to do for work? Every day you're going to film yourself messing up and drawing things on a big piece of paper. You probably would have been like, what are you talking about?
I probably would have been like, "What? No, I'm gonna be a bum,
Yeah, no, I'm going to live on the beach eating bananas.
dude." My plan was to be a surf bum, and now I don't even want to surf. Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
Silly.
That's so funny because you don't like the beach. Did you like the beach back then?
No, it was just the idea of like, the beach is you have a soft place to sleep and it's warm enough to where you don't need like winter clothing.
Okay,
You
gotcha.
know? Like a blanket would do you.
Yeah.
Sleep in the sand with a blanket on, you'd be fine, right? That was the whole appeal.
Yeah.
And then you could go jump in the water and bathe off.
Yeah. So you were just like, this is going to be the most efficient way for me to just live life without a bunch of stuff.
I was going to work at Subway. I was going to get a job at Subway and
Yeah.
live on the beach.
Yeah.
Because
Why Subway?
Subway, dude, I wanted to be a sandwich artist.
Okay, what is a sandwich artist?
Somebody who makes sandwiches.
Like really well?
No, that's what they call their. So
Do they still call their
I don't know. They used to though, and
That's some really fun corporate speak. That's the main point that most guys miss when they're building their plumbing business is high level corporate speak.
probably.
Like you're not a plumbing technician, you're a pipe artist.
So I was working with a guy. I was working for a company, and the owner of the company's brother worked out in the field as a plumber. Eventually, he became the safety guy.
Everybody's favorite person.
Well, he made a really good safety guy because everybody loved him.
Oh, really?
Because when he was out in the field, he didn't do anything.
Oh, he was just like when he was a technician,
Yeah.
he was just kind of useless out there.
Totally useless.
So by being a safety guy, he just tell jokes and
well, that's the thing. That's
Be
what
the
he
same.
did when he was in the field. He would just like stand next to you and
Yeah.
tell you jokes all day. And
while you're trying to work.
dude, and he was hilarious.
Yeah, sure.
And so everybody loved him.
Yeah.
And so I would tell him my story, and he was like, instead of telling people you wanted to work a Subway, you should probably just tell them you wanted to be a sandwich artist. And I was like, yeah, you got a good point there. He goes, yeah, it sounds way cooler.
Yeah, what made me ask the question, like, what is a sandwich artist? Like, in my mind, I'm thinking, like, you're going to, like, I don't know, like, draw things into the top of the bread.
Yeah.
Like, knowing you would just be
I'll
like,
I'll hand burn your name into the top of the bread for you.
knowing you would probably just be like, phallic representations on the top of the bread. Here's your sandwich. Is that a
just one line?
Sure is.
There you
go. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Here's 2 muffins at the bottom. I didn't order muffins. I know, but I had to give them to you.
Yeah, I would do that.
Yeah.
Okay. So couple things people always make is hiring, right?
Sure.
The other mistake they make is on return customers. And the other mistake they make is systems. And we're going to talk about all of these. And there's one more, but I don't remember what it was.
Are these the ingredients, but then what was the high level thing that you wanted to talk about?
It's basically these things, right?
Okay, gotcha.
So
okay,
you can be priced right, you can have marketing, you can be working your nuts off, but you can still not be able to grow, not make consistent money, and have a hard time.
Sure.
And so
sure.
There's a few things you need to have in place in order to be able to really have a successful plumbing business.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can be doing all the right things, but not have these in place. And it's going to be really, really tough.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I thought of one more, but I'm not going to tell anybody.
Oh, secret. What if I just take this and I'll read it out to everybody?
Yeah, do that. And if you think of anything, let me know. We'll talk about it.
Okay.
So the first one that really comes to mind, and we did a whole podcast on this, I believe, just a little bit ago, is memberships.
Sure.
People underestimate the value of a membership program.
Yeah.
And they don't really understand it, right? And they don't understand, and from there, they don't really understand lifetime value of a customer.
Sure, yeah.
And it gets them hung up on their advertising.
Right. And also, because I've been thinking about this, and I thought you might have mentioned something about this when it comes to when you should get on software or Service Titan. And for a while, I feel like we've been like, man, you should probably wait to do that until it makes sense. Mm-hmm. Is there an argument to get on earlier because you can initiate memberships easier?
I would love for you to get on Service Titan right away.
Yeah.
But it's just a matter of, is that a smart decision?
Yeah, sure.
Right?
Given your current circumstances.
Like
if I had $1,000 in my bank account and I wasn't that busy and I didn't have a marketing agency, should I get on Service Titan?
I would say no, get marketing going first.
Yeah.
And get some regular income coming in.
Yeah.
And then get on Service Titan.
Yeah.
But we're talking about somebody who's on Service
Titan. Sure, yeah, they're already
right?
on Service Titan, yep.
And one thing they lack is memberships, or they overthink their memberships and make them really complicated. So, and there's really 2 schools of thoughts on memberships that we should probably cover real quick. If you want a more in-depth, you can go look back. We have a whole podcast on memberships. I think it's called something like How I Got 1,500 People to Pay Me $50 a month.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's the service agreement style, and then there's what's really a true membership. And,
sure. Yeah. Sure.
And the way it is that if you, for years, all the coaching programs and everything have been teaching a membership in the form of a service agreement. And the problem with the service agreement, this is what I have in place in my business right now, is it's $49 a month or $5.99 a year, and you get 10% off all your services, priority scheduling, no dispatch fees, and then you also get a free tune-up on your heating system.
Sure.
Very typical, especially for contractors who have HVAC, right? Or
Sure.
do some sort of heating or cooling. They'll do a free tune-up. And the thought is by doing the free tune-up, I basically cover my cost with the cost of the membership. So a tune-up costs my company about $5.99 to go do. And so when we sign them up for the membership, either $49 a month or $5.99 a year, it's covering the cost of doing the tune-up.
Right.
So it's like my loss leader, okay?
Right.
I'm going into their house. I'm getting in front of their equipment once every year to do their tune-up, and then I get to upsell them on other things, right? Which is great. But at scale, those tune-ups become kind of a little bit of a problem. Now we've got 1,500 free tune-ups that we need to do.
Sure.
And everybody usually wants them done about the same time of year.
Yep.
So we get a ton of calls to go do free tune-ups.
Yeah, so you're really busy in like quote unquote boiler tune season.
Boiler tune season, yep. And for like HVAC guys, it might be twice a year, like going into summer and going into winter. They might get really busy for a little bit. I'm sure the second it gets hot out, everybody's wanting a tune-up on their air conditioning equipment. And then they're super, super busy doing all these free tune-ups with the hopes that you're going to go there, find something,
right,
and be able to upsell them on something else. And that's how you make your money. And that's been taught for years and years and years and years and years and years and years. And it's great. It works. But I think there's a better way. And I think that is just having a $99 a year membership where you get 10% off priority scheduling and no dispatch fees. And that's it. It's like Costco's membership.
Sure.
You buy access to their store.
Yep.
You're just giving them access to your company.
Yep.
And that's it. Special things.
Yeah.
Right. And the cool part about that is it doesn't cost you any money to provide that to your customers.
Yeah, but there's no loss leader involved, and there's also no scheduling block where you have to go do something for free.
Yep. There's no service that you are obligated to perform. So now when they call you for a tune-up, they pay for it, and you get to make money on it. On top of that makes the $99 basically all profit. It's just extra income into your business that you didn't have to do anything for, which is great. Also, the lower cost of it, I think you'll just sell more of them.
Yeah, and I mean, especially when it's like, when you structure it so that they get the 10% off on the thing that you're about to do anyway. Because a lot of the times, that 10% is going to cover the cost of that membership.
Correct.
And so like, oh, cool. Why not? Makes sense.
Yeah. So basically anything over $1,000, it's going to make sense to sell them a membership because it's going to save them money. And then they also get 10% off the next time.
Yep. And they get access to, priority scheduling and all these things that is a valuable thing to have.
Yeah. So for $99, I get to save the dispatch fee if I call you out and there's nothing wrong. Like if we go out and flip a switch, somebody's heating system is just turned off.
Right.
It's $96 diagnostic fee.
Yeah.
Right. Hey, your switch was flipped. We flipped it for you.
Yep.
Members don't pay that.
Yeah.
That pays for the membership right there almost. So I think that's the way to go. But now why this is so important in growing your business is that as you grow, like every time when you start out a business, you have no customers.
Right.
And you basically have to pay for every customer.
Yeah.
Okay?
Or you might have your word of mouth customers.
Word of mouth. But there's a cost to word of mouth.
Yeah.
The cost is doing business and doing good business to where somebody wants to recommend you. Right. It's not totally free. So like if I did really good for this customer and then they went and told their neighbor, hey, these guys are awesome. Cool. I got another customer. But how do we retain those customers for a longer period of time?
Right.
That's where the membership comes in. Okay. And so if you download my playbook, and you guys can get a copy of it. If you're watching on YouTube, it's in the description. Or you go to wealthyplumber.com/playbook. And in there's a cool little diagram that kind of explains lifetime value. And if you think about lifetime value, okay, and lifetime value is just, okay, what's the average length of time that my customers stay with my business? And then what is the average dollar amount that they spend during that lifetime? Okay. And so if you're on Service Titan, I believe you can track, I think it's gross lifetime value is what you can look at. And so, which is good. It would take your labor burden rate, the amount you spent on labor and the amount you spent on materials, and it subtracts that from the total that you got from the customer, right? And so you can do it per customer and you can do it company-wide. So my company's been around for 3 years, maybe 4. We've had a membership for 3 years. Actually, I've been on Service Titan for 3 years. We've had a membership for 2.5. And over those 3 years, the lifetime gross value of our customers is $3,300. And so and typically we hit around, we'll just say 50% gross margin for easy math. That would mean the average spend of a customer is about $6,600
Right.
over a 3-year period. Now, if you think about, the average homeowner is in a home for 5 to 7 years, we'll say 7 years. Well, if that continues to go, let's just split it in 6. Over the next 3 years, they should spend another $6,600, raising my average lifetime or my lifetime value of clients close to $12,000
Sure.
per client, right?
Yeah.
Just by keeping them using my service year after year after year.
Right.
So one of the best ways, and if you talk like to a marketer, they'll call this making your customers sticky. Right? Making them want to use you again, giving them a reason to call you again. So that's really what you're doing with your membership. You're saying, hey, for $99 a year, you can have all these special benefits.
Right.
And what the customer is thinking in their head is, cool, for $99 a year, now I know I can call this plumber. I am not going to have to pay dispatch fees.
Right.
I'm going to get a discount on the work. I know they're good because I just used them.
Right.
And I'm going to get priority scheduling.
Right.
So I'm going to get ahead of everybody else. So when it's super busy, I can call these guys and they'll show up super quick to my house.
Which, if you think about within like those busy times of years,
Yeah.
that's going to be very helpful to that customer. Is like, man, I don't want to wait again.
That's exactly
busy
what your
time of
customer
year.
wants. Yep.
And I mean, really, the customer, I think, is just going to go towards the least amount of resistance to get their problem fixed.
Yeah.
Like if they, again, this goes with like just branding in general. Like if they know you, but even better, if they have your membership, they're going to hire you over calling somebody else.
Exactly.
They already did a thing.
Exactly.
Like, and of course you want to like have a really, really good service experience. But even if your service experience was completely average, but you sell them a membership, they're still going to call you. Because it's just like, well, like even for me and like the guy, like Sawicki, right? Like the plumbers who do the thing, like their little logos on my water heater, they haven't disappointed me yet. So I'm not even on a membership, man. I just know that they're the plumbers that did the thing. So I just call them.
Exactly.
Because they're the only ones I know.
Yep.
And it's like, again, I'm not going to Google plumber because I already know.
Yeah.
I'll just check them out.
Yep.
The two texts they sent out so far, they were fine.
Yep.
The one guy was,
Yep.
interesting, but he was fine,
Yep. And so think about the company who isn't doing that, right? Every time they need work, they're paying Google for a new customer.
Yeah.
Now, this is also my playbook, but if you just pan this out for a little bit, right? Pan out for like a 7-year or 6-year view on this business. If you let's say you spend $100,000 on marketing your first year and you get half of those, let's say you get 1,000 customers, okay, it costs you $100,000. That'd be ridiculous. But, no, that wouldn't be that ridiculous. $100,000, 1,000 customers. What's the math on that, Joel?
What is that? $100 a customer?
Something like that. That'd be reasonable. $100 a customer.
That'd be very reasonable.
So let's say you spend $100,000, you get 1,000 customers, and out of those 1,000 customers that you served year one, okay, 500 of them bought your membership plan, and then they used you again year 2.
Right.
So year 2, you have 500 recurring customers. It's 500, half of your customers that you didn't have to remarket to.
Right.
Okay. You still spent $100,000 on marketing, and got another 1,000 customers.
Sure, yeah.
Okay. So now you served 1,500 customers year 2 for the same amount of money you spent year 1 on marketing. Okay. And you can see how this is going to compound.
Yep.
Year 3, we have the original 500, plus we have the next 500 that we sold a membership to. Now we have 1,000 returning customers, and we still spend 100,000 on marketing. We get 1,000 new customers. We just served 2,000 customers for the same cost that we spent year 1 on marketing. So in a 3-year time span, you triple or you double the size of your business, spending no more on marketing.
Right.
Now, if, year 1, let's say you did $1 million in sales. Well, year 2, you served 500 more customers. You should be able to do 1.5 million.
Right.
But year 3, you doubled in size. You should be able to spend, you should make 2 million, right? And so if you think about that, now we should be able to spend more on marketing.
Sure.
Because we're making more.
Yeah.
And exponentially growing our business. Yeah. So it's the mix between the recurring customers and the continued marketing spend, keeping your marketing budget at a certain percentage of your gross so that you can grow, retain customers, and continue to do business. Yeah. The other thing people don't think about with memberships is if people are staying in their homes for an average of 5 to 7 years, okay, and we can keep people on for an average of 5 to 7 years, and the average lifespan of a water heater in a lot of areas in the United States is 5 to 10 years, we might spend $100 to get this customer for they need a new toilet flapper.
Sure.
But over the lifetime, right, not only are we getting recurring customers, we don't have to market to them again. The percentage of customers in this membership base that are going to need a new water heater over the next 7 years is pretty high.
Yeah, sure.
If you're an HVAC, the number of customers that are going to need a new system installed is pretty high.
Right.
Right? So, and the cost for a lead on a water heater is a lot.
Yeah, if you're going for water heaters specifically.
If you're going for water heaters, if you're going for AC installs, those leads cost a lot of money. So you're getting lower cost leads, and for the next 7 years, you're saving money on buying all the rest of those leads.
Yeah.
Like you spent $100 on a water flapper lead, and you got the water heater 2 years later, right? So you save $450 on your marketing costs. And this is how companies are growing rapidly while keeping marketing costs reasonable.
Right.
And having a really, really good customer base, which is also going to help you during slow times.
Yeah.
Because like right now, right, it's tough out there. Call volume or search volume is down on Google. Well, guess who's not searching?
Oh, people like me who already know the companies I'm going to use.
If you had a membership with a company, who are you going to call?
Oh, 100% that company.
I have a membership with a company in town called Peden. Guess who I'm calling?
You're going to call? Yeah, why would you call anybody else?
Yeah. If my sewer clogs up, I'm not going to go rent a snake or anything.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go buy a snake and do it myself. I'm just going to call Peden. They're going to come out. They're probably going to charge me like $1,200 to snake my main line, and I'm going to be happy to pay them. And guess what they didn't have to do?
They didn't have to, I don't have to market towards you again.
They didn't have to market to me.
Yeah.
So search volume is way down, and everybody who's just relying solely on Google is having a really hard time. Now, if you have some Google and you have some brand awareness and you have a giant membership base, guess what you have during slow times?
Man, you have
a thriving business.
Yes.
You are up from last year. I guarantee it. And the other thing is you can afford the expensive leads.
Right.
The guys who are going after the $500, $600, $700, $1,000 water heater leads, and they're not selling anything else, and they don't have a membership base, and they're not making very much money off their customers, they have a hard time affording the leads. It hardly
Right.
seems worth it at times. And the lower the search volume, the higher the dollar the
Right.
leads cost, right?
Right.
So knowing that you're going to get $12,000 over the lifetime of a customer, makes it a lot easier to spend $500, $600, $700 on a lead.
What if you don't have the data to see your lifetime value?
You just have to believe in it.
Sure. You just have to believe that you'll do a good enough job that they won't get somebody else's membership.
Yeah.
And I kind of think like the only way that you would lose somebody is if you just didn't fulfill on your membership.
Yeah.
Like unreasonably too. Like you just really dropped the ball. There's a weird thing that happened.
Just think about it logically. Like if I sell memberships, chances are people are going to call me again. Like it makes sense.
Yeah.
So, and I think people don't think about stuff enough.
Yeah, I don't think because also I think it's because, again, there's so many things that they could be doing that they don't, and they don't know when to do it. Like, so there's like all the things that the business owners can be doing.
Right.
But then there's also the very important, well, what do I do when? And then even the next layer is, why would I do this right now?
Yeah.
And I think people miss the when, and then they miss the why. And so it's like, well, I go down like...
Most people think like getting on Service Titan and buying a good price book is going to fix all their issues.
Yeah, like that's going to...
Or one we see a lot is sales training.
Yeah.
I'm going to get sales training for my guys, and I'm going to get on Service Titan and get a good price book, and that's really going to solve all my problems.
Yeah.
And that's just not the case.
Yeah.
That's a part of the puzzle, but oftentimes it's not the part that you're missing. Like
Right.
for those guys, really, the puzzle piece that they're missing is they're not priced right.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
They literally can't make money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or sometimes they grow too fast because maybe they entered into the market at a really beneficial time to them, and so they got really busy. Maybe they had lots of word of mouth or something, and then they hired a bunch of guys.
Yeah.
But they just hired guys. They didn't hire CSR. They didn't really get on good software, so they missed a couple steps.
Yep.
And then suddenly they're like, well, I got to get my guys selling more, and I don't really
It's
have
like,
any
well-
systems, so I'm going to go with sales training because that'll help.
Are you offering options? How are you serving the customer?
Right.
What do you look like?
Right.
All that stuff plays a big,
Yeah.
important role in sales.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, we talked about this on the other podcast, but like really like how easy, if you have Service Titan, how easy is it for you to set up a membership?
Dude, it's super easy. Takes like 10 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah. And you can start selling them.
And then how difficult is it for a technician to sell a membership?
They just add it to the estimate. Done. It's just a task in your price book.
Yeah.
That you just add it to the estimate, and when you sell it, it just automatically signs that person up for the membership.
Now, like with your membership, does the technician have to like go over like any terms and conditions with them just so that the customer is clear? Like, oh yeah, next year you're going to get billed for $99. So
Yep.
be ready for it and all that kind of stuff.
Yep. You just put that in the description of the task, like all the benefits you get, how it works. We're going to auto bill you $99 every year until you call and cancel.
Yeah. And like, what's it like? And then explaining like, hey, this is what this is why doing this right now is helpful to you because essentially it's free.
Yep.
And then also, this is the benefits you're going to receive over the next year.
Correct. And here's the thing, like if you do a $99 a year membership, super simple.
Yeah, because there isn't
It's
like
very easy to explain.
Yeah, because there isn't this like, well, how do I know? Like, what if I'm out of town during the times? Or like, do I have to do this? Do I have to schedule my maintenance thing at a certain time of year? Like,
a lot of people want to do like a gold, silver, gold, platinum.
Yeah, or add like really make a big, huge, fat membership because there's like tons of value in like I give you 12 different things and 128-point inspection. Like,
it's confusing.
And honestly, the customer at that point, like you've been in their house already, you've done stuff. They're like, hey man, yeah, I know. Just
fix my thing.
Just fix my thing. I don't need a spiel. No, it sounds
And
like you're trying to sell me a thing.
And they don't know what half that stuff is.
Nah.
They have no clue.
Yeah,
or
like
why it's valuable to them.
Yeah, like we going to an auto shop when they're like, we do 128 engine point inspection. Like from a customer standpoint, I'm like, if you told me you did a 12-point inspection, I would feel the exact same as they feel now. Like, I don't know what that means, and I don't really care. Like I just
even if they told you what was involved, you'd be like, cool, yeah,
I'd be
great,
like,
do it.
Cool, sounds like car stuff. That's why I brought this to you. Like,
Exactly.
like we go over all this. Like, interesting.
Yep.
Can I sit down now? Like, what's happening?
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so set up a membership.
Set up a membership. Keep it simple. Don't overcomplicate it. And go from there.
Yeah.
Okay. Item number 2, and this is a big one. And we were talking about this the other day, and I was trying to remember it, and I couldn't until I think I thought of it last night. Maybe I was talking to you about it again.
Oh, dude.
But it was
anything's possible.
We were talking about why I was successful.
Yeah, we were talking about that yesterday.
We talked about it on the podcast, didn't we?
Maybe, but we also talked about it, I think, after the podcast.
We talk about too much.
You talk too much.
No, you talk too much.
I don't talk at all.
I just sit here and listen. So
I almost spit my coffee out.
that'd be epic.
That would be epic, especially right there. Yeah, that'd be good. We would just let it dry and seep into the table, so we could remember
I
it.
totally would. Okay, and we were talking about, okay, how did I grow my business so fast? What did I do that grew it so fast? Well, I sold memberships early on.
Yeah.
That was one of the things.
Yeah.
And that was just accidental. I just put that together. I didn't.
Yeah. What did you get the idea from business coaching? Did you get the idea from like?
I got the idea from coaching and watching what other people are doing. Oh, I need a membership plan.
Yeah.
The way I decided to structure it was I was reading 100 Million Offers by Alex Hormozi. And I was like, I need to make this offer that's so good they feel dumb saying no.
Yeah.
And so that's what I did. And it worked. It was really great. And it still works. It's still really great. I think the other method would be better. I bet I would have more members.
You probably would have,
now.
and you wouldn't have your scheduling kerfuffles that you run into.
Correct.
With service memberships.
Correct. Yep. 100%.
Yeah.
And I didn't even think of that back then.
No.
Wasn't even a thought in my head. So the other thing was that we came up with is I'm just really good at not doing stupid stuff.
Yeah. Now, like, how can you tell if something's stupid?
Dude, to me, it's obvious.
Sure.
Like,
Yeah.
what
You'd look at it.
Like, why are you doing that? That's
Yeah.
dumb. Why are you working on that? That's dumb. But I think what it boils down to is just complicating things. Like we have a complicated business. We're sending people out to people's homes in vans with all sorts of parts and all sorts of different personalities and all sorts of different problems and all sorts of different kinds of customers. And then we just want to complicate it even more for some reason. And I don't know, when we do stuff and it's successful and it's simple, as a human, it almost feels wrong.
Sure. Like this couldn't be this easy.
Yeah.
It couldn't just be this. I think,
Especially when it comes to like making money.
yeah. And I think
Right?
like pricing, I think guys get tripped up with that. When
Yeah.
It's like, cause like at the
You
end,
mean all I got to do is charge more?
yeah,
That's it?
cause it's like, that doesn't, and like, obviously, yeah, there's limiting beliefs around charging more. Like you're really cheap, becoming expensive is a difficult thing to grasp and to begin to practice.
It is.
But just the overarching logic of the concept of like, hey man, if you don't charge this, you just won't make money.
yeah,
It's very simple.
super simple.
There isn't
It's like-
really any like fanciness with it. It's a very black and white concept.
It's very black and white.
And you don't get a lot of black and white concepts out there, but
If
that
you
is one
don't-
of them.
If you don't hit these gross margins, you won't make money.
Yeah, it's just how the business model works.
And so what's weird about that is like when you tell people, like I see it on TikTok all the time. When I tell
we
them,
overcomplicate it
when I
with
tell them
all
it's
sorts of
$600 to change an angle stop, or it's $3,800 for an electric water heater. They're like, what a ripoff, right? We're just ripping people off. Like you're price gouging. And I'm
yeah,
like,
or like
where-
how could you be a moral person?
where
and,
does
like, do
that come
this?
from?
Yeah.
Like where? Like what is their, what's the logical thinking behind that? That's what I want to know. Like when you're saying that, you obviously haven't thought about it logically.
No, probably not. I mean,
Like
really,
when you say your labor is worth $100 an hour at best. Well, what are you basing that off of?
yeah,
Nothing.
maybe they're probably basing it off of their experiences, not necessarily like experiences of I ran a successful business and I made money and this is how I know because I understood how the thing worked. It's much more it's anecdotal.
Yeah.
And so it's all like, well, I felt this way, or I perceive this, or I hear stories of something. And this is how I've come to have these. And usually when those people are commenting that, it comes through like a moral vector.
It does.
Where they're like, morally, I couldn't do that.
Yep.
Because I could never look somebody in the face and say, give me all that money for something that I wouldn't pay for.
Yeah.
Which, again...
So no facts.
Yeah, no facts, no understanding of the customer. Like, there's a lot of presumptions that go into that whole thing.
Yep.
And then again, you're so up against the like, okay, man, don't charge that. But
then
you won't make any money.
You're
like,
not going to be successful.
Yeah, it's like if you don't want to have a plumbing business that's a real business, meaning that you can leave and it still operates, then, you know, you don't have to charge that much. Like, you don't have to get a bookkeeper. You don't have to do service work. You don't have to have a P&L. You can do whatever you want, and you'll probably pay your bills.
Yep.
Or you'll get a job somewhere else.
They might as well go get a job somewhere else.
Yeah, but they won't ever be able to hire guys or get on software.
So I look at those guys and I think, morally, you're bringing everybody else down.
Sure.
Because you're not willing to get over your own preconceived ideas in your head and actually think about what you're doing. And because of that, you're going out and serving customers at a rate that nobody else can serve the customer at if they want to be successful.
Right.
And not only are you screwing over all the other plumbers out there, you're really screwing over your customers because now they think all these other guys are too expensive. You're screwing over yourself because you're not making any money.
Yeah.
If you ever hire employees, you're screwing over your employees because you can't pay them or give them good tools or buy them nice vehicles or give them retirement and health care.
Yeah, and it's like...
And morally, I think that's wrong.
And it's also, I mean, really, it's just like if you're still in that mindset, like you've been gaslit to some extent, and now you're gaslighting everybody else saying, hey, you can't do that. The reality that you live in doesn't support that.
Correct.
Because, you know, what my plumbing work that I do, I could never do that.
Correct.
And I've talked to guys, I'm like, okay, well, when was the last time that you did a water heater at this, what you would consider insane price? Well, I've never done it. Well, when have you done a toilet flapper for this one? Well, I've never done it. Well, maybe there's a story like, well, my last company, but I didn't like how it was ran. It's like, well, we're not even talking about that.
Yeah.
We're talking about like, when did you go do this?
Yep.
Well, I've never done it. Well, so you don't know. Yeah. You don't have any data.
Nope.
Like, you have nothing to base your decision off of except for just what you think and what you feel and maybe what you've seen through somebody else's impartial perspective.
Correct. It's poopy.
Yeah.
Okay. Back to doing stupid stuff.
Yeah.
That would be a good example of doing something stupid.
Yeah.
I don't know. People do stupid stuff, you know? Like a big one here would be just inflating overhead, right? Thinking, okay, my phones aren't getting answered, I'm going to hire another CSR, whether they can afford it or not. And then losing all their profit margin because they have another person that they didn't really need.
Right, sure.
Right? Or they really couldn't afford. Or what we see a lot is there will be a business with 4 technicians out in the field, 2 business partners in the office, 2 CSRs, and an office manager.
Yeah.
And it's like, so you got 5 people in the office all making, 60 to 100K a year. And you got 4 guys out in the field that you're paying beans because you can't afford to.
Yeah.
And you expect them to produce enough revenue to pay for all 5 of these office staff.
Or you're really holding out that your savings will last until you can hire another technician to like start to hopefully produce enough to cover all your overhead.
Right. Or even there's just a lack of that.
Yeah.
Getting on software that you don't need at the time.
Yeah.
And paying for it. Like there's tons of cool things out there and all these fancy gizmos and gadgets and silver bullets that you're like, oh yeah, this is going to fix all my problems. It's going to be so cool. Like this $30 million company I follow online, they use this. And me, $1 million company, I got to have that because that's how I'm going to get to 30 million.
Right. If I just copy what they're doing without any understanding of how they got to the point they got to and why they use that in their particular moment.
Right.
Like, oh, it's going to work for me 100%.
Right. Exactly. And what it boils down to is, like, if it doesn't increase revenue or take some of that revenue and put it down towards net, i.e. make you more efficient, then don't do it. Only do things that do that. If you're going to hire an office manager and she's going to make you money, which is highly unlikely, or he, then it's a good hire. If they're not going to make you money, if they're just going to cost you money,
right,
then it's not a good hire.
And like with that, like people are really good, and I don't mean this in like a derogatory sense, but people are really good at making work for themselves to appear like they're valuable. And so like if you bring in an office manager and you're like, you think it's a good idea, the office manager is maybe your friend or something, and you feel like you need it to help you with the back end, the quote unquote business side, because you're too busy doing whatever. And then eventually you're like, I don't know if I'm going to need that person. That person is going to try honestly, they're going to try really hard to do as much as they can. And
they might do a bunch of stupid stuff.
Yeah, they might do unnecessary things that
might make things overly complicated.
Yeah, just so that they can, I guess, maybe justify what they're doing.
Yeah.
Because they might walk in and be like, I don't really know what I'm here for. If I'm not answering the phones directly, or if I'm not like doing other stuff, then I'm here to organize the paperwork. I'm getting paid a lot to organize the paperwork. Like, I can see how that person could just organize the paperwork.
That's the thing. Like, and then also, like when you have staff, you should be looking at those employees and going, what are they doing? Are they doing what they need to be doing? And can they do this better, faster, more efficient any other way?
Right.
Because ideally, like your goal should be to do as much revenue with as little staff as possible.
Yeah.
So that you can stack more staff on and do even more revenue.
Right.
So you have more left for the bottom.
And even at like the smaller level of scale is to build the processes for what it looks like to run really lean.
Correct.
And then also build in within your culture and the thinking of, hey, we're trying to always optimize. Like I was, every week I have a one-on-one with Morgan and a one-on-one with Costin. And these are our media team guys. And it's cool because like every couple of weeks, Morgan will be like, hey man, I figured out how to do this a little bit faster.
Sweet.
A little bit better.
Sweet.
And I'm like, dude, that's rad. Like I like, I'm always just like, dude, I really appreciate how you're always thinking, how can I optimize this? Is there a way to like trim this or change my process or organize my stuff better so that I can get the same result in less time? Because he understands that if I make more time for myself, I'm more available to do higher leverage tasks, which makes me more valuable. And like, you want people thinking in that fashion. And so you want to like, in your business, be like, all right, CSR, like you are spending X amount of time booking the jobs. Now, what is the other part of your day like? What are you doing then? And then when you have a small business, you can sort of feel that out. And if you have good players, a good team, then eventually you get a really good procedure for your CSRs or your technician. So then when you hire somebody, now you have a system, be like, hey, CSR, this is exactly what we do. And I know what you're capable of because this person booked at this rate. They did this. They did the AR. So you can too.
The other thing is don't just limit it to their job position.
Oh, yeah.
Look at your CSRs and your office manager and your whatever. We don't have a CSR and a dispatcher because we just have two CSR/dispatchers.
Yeah.
Because one of them can do this together. They can CSR and dispatch. If I was to split them apart, one CSR couldn't handle all the call volume.
Right.
And there wouldn't be enough stuff for the dispatcher to do.
Right.
And so some other business owners would hire two CSRs because they need them to answer the phones, and then they have a dispatcher over there. Well, now you have a third person for no reason.
Right.
Zero reason whatsoever. Just get rid of that person and make both your CSRs dispatch until there's enough room in there to have a dispatcher. You see it all the time. People bringing in overhead for no reason. When they already have the people there, they have enough people. They're just not utilizing their people good enough to make the work happen.
I think it comes back to that business owners don't take the time to just stop and think about what's happening.
That's one of the things on my list.
Yeah, was just stopping and thinking
Just
about
stopping and thinking.
Yeah.
Like, it's so undervalued. Just taking a second every single day and just looking at your business, going, okay, I want to get to the next level. What's my moves? What do I lack understanding on? What do I not understand? Like, what do I not know how it works? If I want to get to here, what are the things that I think are going to break? Mm-hmm. How are we going to fix those moving forward? Mm-hmm. Like, what's the plan? And putting together an idea of what you're going to do next, and then making that happen. I think a lot of people get into, analysis paralysis. So they'll want to grow their business. They'll maybe understand a few of their problems moving forward, and then they'll listen to every episode of our podcast. They'll get our playbook. They'll go watch Tommy Mello. They'll watch all the reels, and then they get stuck, and they don't know what to do because they looked at it way too long, or they didn't take the time just to stop and be like, wait, what's the one thing I need to be doing right now for my business? Right. Not what Jared was talking about on his podcast, not what Tommy Mello talked about at that last event. What's the thing I need to do on my business? Is my pricing right? Is my price book right? Am I utilizing my staff? Is my marketing good? Can I push forward on marketing anywhere else? Can I push budgets anywhere else? And actually going in and digging into your business and thinking about all these individual things. It's very, very, very rare that you see that happen. Very rare. Most people, when you just ask them those kinds of questions, they have no idea.
Sure.
They don't even know what's going on in their own business. No clue. Do I have enough calls? Do I have too little calls?
Or how many calls did I get?
Too many calls? How many calls did you get? Like, if I were to poll business owners inside and say, cool, what's your struggle? Most of them would say, well, I need more work.
Yeah.
Or I need my guys to sell better. Or
there's not enough guys to hire.
And I'd start asking them questions like, well, what's your cost per booked call? No idea. Well, what's your conversion rate on those calls? No idea. What's your booking rate on those calls? No idea.
Yeah.
What's your hourly rate? Well, it's, sometimes it's this, sometimes it's that. Again, no idea.
Right.
Well, how much does it cost you to have a guy at somebody's house? No idea. Right. A lot of that stuff, just take the time to think about it. And I would say even more, if you take the time to think about it, the power of that is you then have an idea of what your business is lacking because you took the time to think about it. And you can, if you come up with a list of like the top 5 things that you need to work on, then you can narrow that top 5 list down to what's the one thing I should do first. And then you can get laser focused on that one thing until that problem's fixed. And then you go back and you think about your business again. You come up with another top 5, and then you pick one to laser focus on. And over time, you just laser focus and get these things solved, and new problems come along.
Sure.
And you have to laser focus on new things, but it just gets better and better and better and easier and easier and easier, and you just make more and more and more money. Simple as that.
When was the last time that you had an intuition that you needed to do something that you didn't really want to do and you didn't
all the
do
time?
It? Yeah, but you didn't do it.
Oh, I always do it, but I never want to.
Yeah. Do you have a moment? Do you remember a moment where you're like, man, I got to do that, and you're like, but I don't want to do it. I'm gonna go do this over here, kind of thing?
No,
because I think
I remember lots of moments where I was like, oh, I need to do this thing, and I don't want to do it. Like, I remember building my price book. So I sat it on Saturday, and I was like, okay. I told my wife, if I don't sit down on Saturday and get this price book done,
you're never going to do it.
I'm never going to get it done. I said, I need you guys to just leave. I sat at the kitchen table all by myself the whole day, and I just knocked out my price book, got it done. Felt super good. And then it was done, and I was like, cool. Now I can go get on Service Titan because I have a price book built.
Right, yeah.
And then I can get on the software. It'll be useful. And then I got on the software and I was like, cool, now I can add a membership. Let's get a membership plan going.
Right.
Let's build out my price book in Service Titan. Let's start using the software, selling memberships. Super valuable.
I think a lot of times guys will know what they need to do. And I think this happens with employees all the time. You know, you should probably talk to that guy, but you know, he sucked yesterday, but today he's kind of not sucking. So I probably don't have to talk to him. And then you avoid that thing that you know you need to do. And like, I know how the conversation goes in the head. It goes, wow, but there's also other things I can be doing too. Yeah, that's important, sure, but there's other important things. But in the back of your head, you know that that's actually the thing you need to be doing. And it's a skill to train to, like, when you feel that discomfort, because you know you have to do that hard thing, to then just go do the hard thing.
Yeah.
Because that is probably really the thing that you know intuitively, logically.
If it's hard, if you're telling yourself, I don't really want to do that. That's probably the thing you need to work on.
Yeah.
It's easy to go work on easy stuff. It's hard to go work on hard stuff. But it's the hard stuff is the stuff that pushes you forward.
I also find that once you do the hard stuff, that's actually some of the most rewarding work.
Yeah. The hard stuff it's hard stuff, right? And when you get it done, it's like, freaking A, that's done.
Yeah. And it actually, like the most recent thing that I can remember for me was just making like a spreadsheet to track Benton's commissions for our bookkeeper.
Yeah.
And it was kind of complicated because I had to line it up with pay periods and like split these payments. And I was thinking I was like, dude, I have no idea. I was like, I'm just going to ask Jared. And I was like, nope, can't ask Jared because
thank you.
Jared, exactly. So I was like, you would be like, yeah, I'll help you with this. And you would have helped me.
Yep.
But then I would have just taken like an hour of your time.
Yep.
And so for me, I was like, I just got to do it myself.
Yeah.
And I just sat down and did it. And then like, it took me a while to figure it out. Well, it didn't take me that long. It took me like an hour to figure it out.
Yep.
And afterwards I was like, damn, I did it.
I did it.
I was like, that was rad.
And now you're better.
Yeah. Now I'm much more confident with like, oh, I'm going to go make a spreadsheet about stuff. Cause I learned how to reason through it for my own brain.
A lot of the times when I come up on hard stuff, I just have to start. And I'll start and 100%. I'll get partway through it and I'll be like, you know what? It would be better if I did it this other way.
Yeah.
Because I have a better understanding of it now because I started.
Yes.
And then I will just change it up and get it done.
Dude, and I think that's kind of like, maybe we could, even in like the guerrilla marketing conversation, where it's a hard thing. You don't want to go and print flyers and go to Home Depot to put them in the doors. You don't want to sit down on Facebook and message everybody. It's
uncomfortable.
It's uncomfortable and it's lame. And like, you could probably, you should like think about your brand or something. Like, you tell yourself something, but just starting is the hardest part. It's like, but once you start, you kind of find the rhythm. There's something in it that's rewarding, and then you get some result from it. And you're like, wait a second, that was actually rad. Yep. And you're like, I'll just keep doing that.
And then before you know it, you're comfortable.
Yeah, because you and it's just that starting to push on that hard thing.
Yep.
But once you get into it, you're like, this ain't so bad.
Yep.
And then eventually you're like, that's kind of fun. I kind of learned stuff.
Go watch our first podcast. It sucked.
Yeah.
It was terrible.
Yeah.
First podcast was terrible. And then go watch some of my first, go to my Instagram or TikTok or YouTube account. Watch some of the first short form videos.
Take a while to get back to those early ones.
It will, but they were terrible.
Yeah.
They were horrible.
Yeah.
Same thing when I first started my plumbing business. Yeah. Guess what? I was terrible.
Yeah.
I didn't know what I was doing. I remember when I raised my rates to $259, I went to this lady's house. She's still a customer to this day. And she had a bad aquastat on her boiler. And with my new pricing, it was like $680. And I was terrible at giving prices because I didn't believe in it yet.
Sure.
And she could tell. And she told me, it's okay. It's okay if it's expensive.
She comforted you.
She knew.
Patted you on the back.
She could see it that I felt bad. And she goes, you're here fixing my stuff. You need to make money. And she was like, it's okay.
She's a wise woman.
And I was like, yeah, it was. It was actually really good. It was cool to see. And then I had the other guy, and I told this story a million times too. I quoted him for a water heater. Most expensive water heater I've ever quoted at that time, right? And I got it. I showed up to his house within 15 minutes. He okayed the quote. I went and got the water heater. I got it done within a couple hours. And he asked me, "Are you sure you're making enough money on this?" And I was like, yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
He was willing to pay me more for it,
Yeah.
right? Because he was like, "Hey, man, you showed up and like I was literally down the street and I just popped over to his house. A couple hours later, he had his water heater changed. Like, that's good service, right?
Yeah.
It was installed well, 1 year warranty, fixed some other stuff for free for him. It was nice and clean, like super happy customer. And I remember thinking like, crazy. This is weird.
Yeah.
People actually value good service. I didn't even think about it before. But yeah, in the beginning, you're going to suck.
Yeah.
And it's just getting started and doing that's going to get you there for sure.
Yeah. And I mean, like, I think it's one of my favorite Alex Ramosi quotes, but when he just says like, "Hey man, cool shit takes time."
Dude, that's another thing is like people lack patience.
Yeah, I don't know anybody who lacks patience in this room.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah.
It's the I don't want to like I don't consider myself an entrepreneur, and I don't know if any other plumbing business owners consider themselves like entrepreneurs. I'm a plumbing business owner.
Yeah.
And I happen to have a coaching program and a podcast and shorts and some other stuff, right? But the thing with any like business owner who is striving for something greater than where he's at now is that when you see the possibility, right? And the thing is like if you're going after something, you see the possibility.
Sure.
And so to you, it's like right here.
Yeah. You see where this thing could go.
There might be 1,000 steps from here to there.
Yeah.
But you skip all 1,000 of those steps and you go to the end. You're like, this is possible.
Yeah, you're on one mountain and then you look across the valley and you see the other mountain and you're like, oh my gosh, it's right there.
Yeah, and
it's not even far.
And you get excited about it. And that's why you're doing what you're doing. You're like, I'm going there.
Yeah.
It's going to be freaking rad. I'm so excited. And to you, it's right here, right in front of your face. Like you're so close.
Yeah.
All I got to do is these couple things, right? And inevitably, you never get there as fast as you want.
No.
It feels like forever.
Especially when you're in it. Like the mountain analogy is a good one because like you just climbed a really tall mountain, you feel awesome, but you know that there's this taller mountain and you can see it and it's right there. But then once you start to go down,
here's how it works. You think you see the peak, right?
Yeah, sure.
And you climb and climb and climb and you get to the top of that peak and you get to the next. And you're like, damn it, there's another one that I couldn't see. And that just keeps happening over and over and over and over again. And that's the fun of it. It's the journey. It's the building of the thing that's fun. It's not the end result.
Yeah, true. The building of the thing is the fun part.
It is.
Especially once you've like I think for you and then for us, because you've built your plumbing business. And so when we're like building this coaching program or whatever, it's like we have more of an idea of the lay of the land and what we like about it.
Yep.
And it's just the building and the business and the people is the fun part.
Yep.
And like the consistent inputs is fun.
Yeah. But even then, like, I built my plumbing business. It was like, 2 years of really hard work.
Right, sure. You laser focus, keeping your head down, just sort of like...
Sole focus was just my plumbing business, right? And those 2 years went by really fast, but they felt incredibly long.
Sure, yeah.
It felt like eons went by.
Yeah.
Right? And I was wondering if it was ever going to get to where I wanted it to be. And then one day I woke up and I was like, oh crap. What am I doing now?
I guess I did it.
Yeah. All of a sudden.
Yeah, sure.
It was like this realization of, oh, we did it. And it was cool. And then when I started to look back on it, that's when I went, holy crap, that went fast.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
It wasn't until it was all done
Yep.
that I looked back and went, dang, that looked fast.
I mean, if anybody's ever hiked like a really tall mountain and then you get to the top of the mountain and then you can look down, you can see the trail that you went.
Yeah.
And you're like, I remember when I was right there. And I remember looking up and be like, dude, that's so far. Like, there's no way. But when you're looking at it, you're like, I remember that. Oh, there's the car.
Yep.
And like you can see all that you've done, and it's an interesting perspective.
Yeah, or it's like when you get to the top and you turn around and come back down, how much faster it feels to go down.
Oh yeah, thank God for that.
Yeah.
In the hiking analogy.
Or even if you drive somewhere and you turn around and have to drive back, the drive back always feels quicker. Same thing. You're going to be in your business and you're going to be like, it's like your kids. You're driving somewhere. Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet?
Yeah.
That's how you are when you're building your business. You're like, am I there yet? This is taking forever. And you get frustrated.
Yes.
But if I could give anybody any advice, it'd be just to chill out, do the right stuff,
right?
Put the right pieces in play, put memberships in play, all that kind of stuff. Think about your business. Be patient. Let it grow. And before you know it, you'll be looking at it going, holy crap.
Yeah.
We did how many millions last year? That's crazy. Holy crap, we made how much money last year? That's crazy. It's cool.
Yeah.
It's good times. Okay. So we covered memberships. We covered not thinking about your business. We covered not doing stupid stuff. Think about what you're doing and just ask yourself, is this a good decision?
Yeah, and really the metric again is this adding to what, top line revenue, or is this pushing stuff to bottom line?
Is this going to help increase revenue?
Yeah.
Or is this going to allow me to do something that is going to increase revenue?
Yeah.
Over the amount of the cost of the thing that I'm buying?
Yes.
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 Sometimes you got to bring on, staff in order to continue to scale.
Yeah, sure, of course.
That's fine. You go, okay, I need to bring on technicians to be able to serve more customers. Well, I can't bring on more technicians until I bring on, another CSR because I literally can't answer enough phone calls.
Right.
So I need to bring on another CSR, get her trained up. I'll bring on some technicians. That will increase revenue. Smart decisions. Just going, I feel like I need a new CSR or another CSR.
Right. Yeah, without really thinking about them.
Yeah. Or saying, I need to split up my CSR and dispatch crew because that's what people do.
Yeah, sure. That whole line right there, like people do this in their shops, or I need to like have a sales crew now and an install crew.
Yeah.
And like, just because that's what other people do. Like there's all those examples of just because this other person do it, I should be doing this.
Yep. In the beginning, have everybody sell, service, and install.
Yeah.
We still do that to this day. We're still highly effective at it. It would be silly for me to split it up at this point.
Yeah. It'd be also confusing for your techs. They'd be like, why are we doing this?
Yep. Maybe in a couple million. Sure.
Sure.
A couple million down the road. Sure. I would probably at that point get a dedicated dispatcher. I would probably separate my service and my install crews. I would probably have a service manager and an install manager and go from there. But yeah, don't do stupid stuff. Keep it lean and mean.
Yeah. Yep. Keep it lean, mean, and just always be thinking. Thinking two things. Like one, how can I make this simpler? And also, am I making this complex? Like I do this. Like I
Simplicity.
do this all the time.
Oh, I know you do.
Yeah, I'll talk to Costin about like cool ideas for the future, and then I'm always stopping him like, and Costin's really good at this. What he's good at is going. I think because he's your son in part, because he's been around you, he's like, yeah, but that doesn't seem like we need to think about that right now. I'm like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, you're right.
So like, I love like painting, like, oh man, this is where this could go. This could where this could go. Look at all these things. I'm like, hey, Costin, also remember that stuff I just told you?
What do we call that?
Don't you remember what we call it? It is useful. It's useful to have a team member who is proficient in that skill, and then to be like, all right, Costin, everything I just told you. Let's cut all that down and just focus on this one thing for right now. Yep. And then even maybe not even that.
Yep.
Yeah. It's easy to complicate stuff.
It's
fun to complicate stuff.
But like
until it sucks.
You can do things super complicated or you can do them easy. And maybe the complicated method will make you more money. But I'm always a big fan of like, if I can make money in a simple manner, I'm going to do it that way.
Yeah.
Even if it's a little bit less money.
Yeah.
I would much rather less headache.
Yeah.
And honestly, the simpler it is, the less risk.
Yeah, true.
Higher chance you're going to continue to make that money in the future. I think it was, who was it? Charlie Munger.
Yep.
Always says, what are you so tired for, dude?
Don't you worry about what I do.
Yeah. Charlie, did you wake up early this morning?
Nope. Well, my parents got in late, so I went to bed a little late.
Okay. So Charlie Munger would always say he'd be looking at investments, right? And he's considered, one of the greatest investors of all time. And he would look at something, and if it was complicated, even if it was an investment that would make lots of money, he would say, nah, too hard.
Yeah.
And he would go find an easier investment to make. You want to do the same thing with your business.
Yeah, like, it's too hard.
This is complicated. I'm going to go do something simpler.
That's kind of like when guys have dreams when they're building their business and they're like, man, and I want to add on, like, I'm plumbing, and I want to add on electrical, and I want to add on HVAC. And they have these visions for the future. And I mean, that's fine. Like, it's cool to think really big, but I think what guys miss is actually when those service additions would actually make sense. Like, they want to jump that gun. I want to get an electrical. I want to start electrical in like 2 years. Like, why? Like, why don't you just grow this one thing as big as it can get and then maybe do that? Maybe not.
Yeah.
Like,
depends on what market you're in, I guess.
Yeah.
I think plumbing and HVAC go together really well.
Sure.
I can see, like, if you were inexperienced at business, it would be smart of you to just do one or the other in the beginning.
Sure.
And get the business model figured out and then bring in the other one. I think if you've already had a plumbing business and you were successful at it, then to start another one that has plumbing and HVAC wouldn't be a bad idea.
Sure.
Electrical right off the bat, I think I would bring that in later.
Yeah.
Just because it's not even in your wheelhouse.
Right.
I mean, I get it kind of is, but I don't. It's like the same business, but it's different.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you should think big and get excited,
Sure.
but then be patient to get there.
Sure.
Be patient and willing to put in the hard day-to-day work that it takes to get there.
Right.
And take a minute to enjoy it because it's fun. It's cool.
Yeah. Sure.
Every time I've ever built something, it always took some sort of grind. At some point. And when you're in the grind, you think, this sucks.
Yeah.
Why am I doing this?
Can we like make this quicker by chance by doing certain things?
Yeah.
Or like,
yeah.
is there any way to just like?
But the best thing to do is just be like, we're in the thick of it. I'm going to put my head down and I'm going to make this work.
And sometimes the grind comes when you've actually understood the principles of the business, and now you just have to do those principles enough to get enough money to do the next thing.
You have to. That's the lamest part.
Yeah, it's like, okay,
is when you're like, okay, I got this thing figured out.
Yep, I'm priced properly. I've got marketing. I'm consistently busy. I have a CSR.
So for people in a plumbing business, this is what happens.
Yeah.
You ready? You get priced right. You get a CSR. You get marketing going. And you're super excited to hire technicians.
Yeah, sure. Because you see that, I'm going to get out of the truck. You see that, window.
You pretty much got to grind for another 6 months.
Yeah, sounds like an eternity.
Or more.
Yeah.
Before all of your marketing and your branding efforts and all that stuff start to catch up. You sold enough memberships. You've, narrowed down your technician processes. Your CSR is learning how to do a good job.
Right.
And it takes a while, and you're ready to like hire guys and get out of the truck.
Yeah. And you're like, I don't want to go to work and just do jobs all day and all this kind of stuff.
Correct. But it's like one of the best things you can do. Stack some cash away, go do the jobs, learn how to do it well, learn how to deal with your CSR, make sure those processes are good, make sure your marketing's going. And that part sucks.
Well, because there's not really like any building, and like for the business owner, you're not really like building the business. You're just kind of doing the thing that you built.
You're doing the thing.
You're just exercising the system.
You got to do it consistently for a long enough period of time to where it finally starts taking off. That's it.
I liked what Dana White said this. He said that like successful people are the ones who like they're passionate about what they do and they're just consistent. It's just... And we've seen that like in our lives, but in the businesses that you have, it just takes consistency.
Just consistency. That's it.
Like like your content for your brand is just every day, you got to do videos.
Yep.
Everybody knows, but they got to edit the videos. They got to,
Yep.
like every day.
Yep.
It's been that way for a solid year plus.
For about a year. Yeah.
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 It's just
And even like I saw it in my plumbing business. It was just me showing up every day, doing this stuff, putting the things in place, making sure the things were going long enough to where one day I woke up and was like, dang, we did some cool stuff. That was rad.
That actually all kind of worked.
And like now that I have like that hindsight, like even building our coaching program, we're in the point right now where we're just like, we have these conversations. For a while, it was like, we got to put this thing in place. We got to implement this thing. We got to make these changes. We got to make these pivots,
procedures, training protocols.
We got to
hire pivot this way. We got to try this angle.
Got to hire these people. And then once we got kind of all the pieces figured out and the puzzle pieces ready to rock and roll, now we're in the point of like, we just have to keep doing what we're doing long enough, and it'll happen.
Yeah.
And it's cool knowing that.
Yeah.
But it's really hard to be patient.
Yeah, because now it's just work.
It's just work.
Like
that's it.
It's just work with
all the cool stuff is gone.
Yeah, all the build, all the problem solving and the newness and let's learn about these higher level concepts I'm unfamiliar with. Now it's just like, no, I just show up and work.
Yep.
Which is like, it is what it is. It's part of the process.
Yeah.
And you'll get to the point, and then that next level will have all those new concepts that'll make it exciting.
Yep.
Not that it's not exciting and it's not fun, but it's more of like the same routine.
And here's what happens in your plumbing business. You ready? It's when it's just you and you got marketing and pricing and you got a CSR, you're going to have to work for a little bit because you need to stack away cash and you need to let your marketing catch on and your SEO catch on, right? After that, then you can grow a little bit. And then what ends up happening, you pull out of the truck, guess what? You need to just let her rip for a little bit because maybe hire like technician 4 and 5 and then just sit there and just stack cash. And then you can go hire the next few technicians, maybe a general manager, a few more technicians, and then sit there and stack cash before you move on to the next ones. There's like these phases in your business where you have to chill for a minute, catch up your memberships, sell enough memberships, do enough revenue, make sure your systems and processes are good, curate your team, train your team, and it's just work. And then move on to the next step.
Yeah, and it's like before that, you're in such the mind of fixing things that when you get to this moment where things are sort of where they're at, you keep thinking you got to come back and tinker. And I think we see this in our coaching program where, guys come in, they get priced properly, they have marketing, and then they get in this space where they're just kind of like showing up and like, well, how's it going? I'm like, well, just kind of doing stuff.
Yeah.
Cool.
I want to grow.
Yeah, it's like, yep.
But I don't know what to do. It's like, just chill.
Just keep on doing what you're doing.
Just keep doing the right stuff.
Yep. Keep managing your team and stacking cash.
Yep.
You're like, okay. Like, there's nothing really like...
There's no secrets. There's no like... It's just a matter of doing the right stuff long enough.
Yep.
Yeah. And that can be tough.
Yeah.
Okay. Last thing I want to talk about. Actually, I got 2 more here. Instead of waiting to put out job ads when you need somebody, you should always be hiring.
Yep.
And that's one that a lot of guys miss, and they don't quite understand.
Yeah. But I don't need anybody right now. Why am I hiring?
Exactly. And my thing is like, if somebody comes in and they seem like a good guy, whether you need them or not, I would just hire them. Because chances are you're going to need them.
Right.
And so I would just grab them. If they're good, hire away. Unless that would be stupid. Because
the caveat is unless that would be stupid. Like,
correct.
You just hired your marketing agency last week and you're doing like 1 to 2 jobs per day.
Yes. Or you don't have enough work for yourself.
Yeah.
Yes.
Even if like the star
and you don't have any money in the bank.
Yeah.
That'd be silly.
Yeah, that'd be
correct.
That goes because people would be like, Jared, I did that and I ran out of money. It's like, okay,
correct.
You still got to run it through is this a stupid decision test?
Correct. Yep. I always overestimate people's abilities to make smart decisions. Always.
Yeah.
Every time. Never. It always fails me. So you want to always be hiring so you have that trickle of people
Yeah.
wanting to work at your business.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you're going to grow. That small trickle. There's a lack of people. And in the beginning, you got to get qualified people to come in and go out and produce revenue for you and make sales and jobs happen. So you need qualified people wanting to come work for you. And then my last thing is just systems. And because I feel like there's this huge misunderstanding of what systems are, like systems and processes, because it's super, like I didn't know what they were, right? And it's literally just the way you do stuff.
Yeah.
And that's it. It's like, what is this person supposed to do? How are they supposed to do it? Where are all the resources they need to be able to do it? And how does this tie into the bigger picture? And that's it. And you're just taking those ideas and you're writing them down on a piece of paper and then making sure that your team knows what's on that piece of paper. And that they know if they ever forget, it's on this piece of paper.
Sure.
And that's it. That's what systems are. But without them, everybody's going to want to do stuff a different way.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
and you need, and the thing is, they don't have the viewpoint to know whether those ways are profitable or not.
Right. Yeah. They just, again, we're really bad at telling stories to ourselves. We're really like, and we do this within our coaching program all the time from like the sales side, where we're like, dude, like the leads aren't great this time. Like, Jared, the calls aren't setting. And I'll go look at the data. I'm like, that's not even true. The calls are setting. Like, it's fine. Like, all the statistics are saying everything is fine. But I feel like they're not. Like, we're really bad at like telling ourselves true things. Just like, this is how it is because it's how I feel.
And the other thing is employees naturally want to make their jobs easier. You know what I mean?
What?
So like they might come up with a way that's way easier, but is that way profitable?
Sure.
Like those are the things that you need to avoid in your business. Like, hey, this is how we do it. This is why. And this is how I need you to do it. And if you don't want to do it that way, then we'll get somebody else in here that does.
Yeah. And it really requires you understanding the thing.
Correct.
Because you have to know when an employee comes and approaches you like, hey, boss, what do you think about if we like did this and added this? And in my experience, employees want to come up and like...
Just say no.
I guess you could just say no.
That's what I do.
Yeah, well, because a lot of the times they're well-intentioned, but they're usually adding work. Like for somebody down. Maybe not for them, but somewhere somebody's going to have to do something in your head. You're like, the CSRs would never want to do that.
Yeah. No, your employees will have all sorts of great ideas, but it's whether or not, and that's fine. Like you want to welcome their ideas.
Oh, 100%. You want to encourage. Well, because
they're going to have good ideas.
They're going to miss. Yeah.
They're going to see things that you don't see.
Yes.
They're going to understand things on a different level than what you do. So you want to hear them out. But you also don't just want to let them do their job however, whenever, or wherever, right? There has to be a method in which you serve your customers.
Sure.
A method in which you take the phone calls. A method in which there has to be consistency so that all the positions align. Because, and I would think about this like, you can just start with your customer and say, okay, what's the customer's journey through my business? Because that's really what you're trying to curate is the journey for your customer, right? And so you want everybody to understand where they lie on that journey and how they're taking the customer from this point to this point, and they're handing it off to the next guy who's going to take it from this point to this point, and so on and so on. That is super helpful. Okay, let's recap.
Okay, recap. Give us some good practical.
Okay, memberships. Don't underestimate the power of memberships, and keep them simple. Don't overcomplicate them.
Would you say if you're on a software that can accommodate a membership and you don't have one, just pause the podcast and go make one real quick?
I don't know. I don't want to answer that because if you're on a crappy software that has memberships, then I would say no. Go get on a good software first.
Sure.
And then get on memberships.
Yeah, okay.
Like ServiceTight.
Okay.
Only if you can afford it, though.
Yeah, don't be stupid.
Don't be stupid. That's another one. Take time to think about your business. That's a really important one. always be hiring, and make systems. Have a way of doing business. Don't random do business. Do it your way.
Yeah, and that could even just start with like when you're running your calls today, like pay attention to what you're doing and think about it.
Yeah.
And go, what is my process and system?
Yeah. And
Like, how do I run these calls and why do I think it's an awesome idea? And how would I tell somebody else how to do this?
And then
So
write
then
it down.
Yeah, so that when you hire somebody, like, this is how we do the thing.
And call it your business name way.
Yeah.
Like, this is how we do it at this business.
Yeah.
This is what we do. Here's how we answer the phones. Here's how we do this. Here's how we run our calls. Here's how we present options. All the way through.
And I would say, like, understand why you're doing those things.
Correct.
Because when your employees are like, well, why do we do it this way? You have to be able to be like, well, we do it this way because this is why.
Yep.
Because otherwise they're going to be like, well, let's do it my way. And you won't have a defense for that. And then suddenly could be doing something super weird. You didn't even realize it.
Yeah. And I think, back to the systems and processes thing is that you can have all these systems and processes. I would always, like, if you go look at mine, they're all very just high level. We don't get super detailed.
Yeah, sure.
Because I want you to understand what the end goal is, and I want you to have the freedom to get to that end goal in a manner that you like doing, or you enjoy, or that you think is the most efficient, rather than me trying to micromanage you to death.
Yeah.
I would rather you take ownership of your job and rock and roll it that way. Yeah. Okay. Which brings us to our last thing, systems. Did we say that already?
Yeah, we already talked about systems.
Tag, nabbit. That's all of them.
We can talk about it again if you want.
We could recap again, too.
We can just keep looping. Jared, tell me more about systems.
Just over and over.
Yeah.
And don't hire a business partner.
Yeah. There's a joke. I can't remember what the joke is about that, but
What was the joke?
can't tell you.
'Kay.
Secret.
All right.
If I tell you, I'd have to kill you.
Again, if you haven't grabbed our playbook, go grab it. If you're watching on YouTube, there's a link in the description. If you're listening out in podcast land, it's at wealthyplumber.com/playbook. It's free. Great resource. Covers a lot of this stuff, but in a lot more depth.
Thanks, Jared.
Cool, man. See you, Holmes.
See you in an hour.